I've come up with the concept I call fit for task. Now, sometimes your task is to play tennis or to swim or to have fun, to go hiking. Sometimes that's your fitness, that's what you need. Sometimes it's to take care of your wife or husband or your kids or grandkids and being able to keep up with them. And sometimes it's about being able to take care of yourself so you can be independent and not have to go through some of those things or have people that you care about have to take care of that.
Welcome to Thriving with Diabetes, the podcast where we empower people with type 2 diabetes to live their best lives. I am your host, Gamden, a holistic wellness coach, helping people overcome the challenges related to type 2 diabetes. I believe that with the correct knowledge, mindset, and support, you can manage your health condition effectively and lead a fulfilling life. In this episode of Thriving with Diabetes, we are talking about fitness for longevity and focus on the concept of fit to task. Today, we have the honor of talking to Allan Misner, if I pronounce your name right, a health and fitness coach and the visionary behind the 40 Plus Fitness podcast. Allan's experience extends to helping people over 40 to improve their health and fitness. We will explore key insights into the role of exercise, mindset, and motivation to help you manage diabetes better and share practical strategies for achieving long-term wellness. I'm excited to have our special guest with me today, Allan Misner. It is always inspiring to learn about our guests' perspectives and experiences. Before we dive into our discussion today, I would love for Allan to introduce himself, share some background about him and what he does. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Allan to introduce himself. Allan, welcome to Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
Thank you, Gamden. When I found myself completely out of shape and sick and probably close to pre-diabetes at the time, I was about 39, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anybody that understood training over 40, and so nobody was doing this. And so that's why I decided after I was able to learn a few things and do a few things for myself that this was needed out in the marketplace. So I kind of made it my mission to start providing information in the health and fitness area that's specific to people over 40 and make that available over the internet for free in some cases. So they don't have to fall for all the other things that we all fall for, like the cabbage diet and this and that, and here's this workout, there's that workout. I try to make it as easy as possible for people to get healthy and fit.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. It is really inspiring that your mission is to help people who are 40 or plus so they can be healthy and fit, not just for the current moment, but for the future. So let's move on to the next point, which is about exercise and longevity. And exercise is often linked to longevity. So in your experience, how does integrating regular exercise that contribute to longevity, and what the benefits does it offer specifically for people over 40, which is your focus right now?
Yeah, well, instead of telling you about all the benefits and just listing them, I'm going to tell you a story. So there's this guy, Glenn, and Glenn loved golf. But at the age of 80, he found his balance was going and he had to stop playing golf. At the age of 90, Glenn was in an apartment, assisted care apartment, and he wouldn't see the rest of his family because when Glenn was sitting in his chair and had to go to the bathroom, he couldn't get up, walk across the room, and make it to the bathroom before he had to go. He didn't have the capacity to do that, so someone would have to come in and clean him up. And that's how he lived the last 5 years of his life, unable to take care of himself. And so when I think about fitness and I think about all of this, I've come up with the concept I call fit for task. Now, sometimes your task is to play tennis or to swim or to have fun, to go hiking. Sometimes that's your fitness. That's what you need. Sometimes it's to take care of your wife or husband or your kids or grandkids and being able to keep up with them. And sometimes it's about being able to take care of yourself so you can be independent and not have to go through some of those things or have people that you care about have to take care of that. So as you're thinking about fitness, instead of thinking about exercise and workouts and how you hate to sweat, think about how it's going to be if you don't make it to the bathroom in time. That's what Fit for Task is about. It's about doing the things that your body needs so that when you need your body, it's there for you. Because in the end, this isn't just about how long you live. This is the quality of your life through that span. So we call that health span, or I call it Fit for Task. And so making sure you can take care of yourself should be job number one for every single one of us, no matter how old we are.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. It's really inspiring just to learn about someone like Glenn who couldn't even do a basic movement, is going to the toilet.
Yeah, Glenn was my father, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get to see him after he was 90 years old. So the last 5 years of his life, I didn't get to see him.
And that shows is how it can be difficult if you don't take fitness seriously. And you introduce the concept of fit to task. We will talk in more details about that later. But let's talk about the relationship between exercise and type 2 diabetes. What are the benefits that people with type 2 diabetes can experience through regular physical activity?
Okay. So there's not really what I would call a direct. You can't effectively cure diabetes without changing and fixing your whole body. You have to change your nutrition. You have to change your stress management. You may have to change your sleep. And yes, you may have to train or exercise to help get rid of or reduce the issues that you're having for type 2 diabetes. The basic gist is when the body's being treated well, which exercise is a form of treating your body well, certain systems in your body will function better. One of the core systems that relates to diabetes is, of course, your insulin sensitivity. And so the insulin hormone, which I'm sure you've talked about a lot on this podcast, its job is to keep just the right amount of sugar in your blood system so you can function. Well, someone who exercises regularly, who goes through the glycogen stores in their muscle and liver, will need to pull sugar to restore that glycogen at some point. You may have heard runners in marathons they'll hit a limit and they'll call it a bonk. It's that limit. Well, what they've done is they've burned through all of their glycogen. And now their body's looking for glycogen somewhere else. And if they haven't been eating it, they bonk. And so if you can imagine a system, it's like taking a battery. We used to have these batteries that if you didn't drain them all the way down, they got muscle memory or they got battery memory and they wouldn't charge all the way back up. So insulin resistance can be a little bit like that. If you get the whole system working where you're pulling sugar, adding sugar, pulling sugar, it gets better at it. And that's how it can kind of help regulate insulin. The other side of it is just having more muscle mass allows your body to burn more energy. You have more mitochondria, so your body is just generally going to be drawing more energy out, and that's going to help with blood sugar regulation.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your insights about the benefits of exercise for type 2 diabetes. And I want to talk about mindset. And a positive mindset is crucial for any fitness journey. Having a weak or a negative mindset won't help someone who wants to go into fitness. How do you see mindset playing a role in adopting and maintaining a healthy lifestyle, specifically for those dealing with health conditions like diabetes? Just before you answer this question about the mindset, maybe later we talk about motivation. A friend of mine who wanted to do some exercise or workouts, tried just once a week, then he stopped. Sometimes the people think it is they take it like an easy process or step, but it requires a strong mindset. So if you can talk about mindset.
Well, to me, mindset's this overriding thing that is everything. Anything you want to do in health and fitness is going to take your brain. Your mind will drive what you do. It's sort of like they say, what you look at is where you go. And this is the same thing with mindset. So there's a lot to mindset. There's books and books and books on mindset. But one of the core things is when it comes to health and fitness and in nutrition, what I found is that there are about 5 general mindsets for how we all think about what we're doing at any point in time that's hard, like getting healthy, like getting fit, like eating well. And if you know these mindsets and you know the one that is most prominent in you, you can make some decisions to do something differently. I'll give you an example. For many women, particularly women, but some guys, we're the caretakers in the house. And we have to take care of everybody else. And so we have this mindset that their needs are more important than our needs. Therefore, we're too busy taking care of them to take care of ourselves. I can't cook for myself because I have to cook for my family and I don't have time to cook 2 meals. I hear it all the time. That's what I call a co-pilot mindset. They're sitting in the co-pilot seat. They've got to take care of all the navigation, all the stuff, and they never get to take care of themselves. If you go in it with that mindset, you've already decided you aren't going to do this. You may try, but then, the kid needs something, so then you're out. So the way you work that is you know that you have this mindset. You step back and say, well, what's valuable about that mindset? For me, the particular thing that's very valuable for a co-pilot is they already have a support group all the way around them. They've got their spouse, they've got their kids, they've got their family. These are very important elements in their why, when they're doing all this. Well, ask them for help. Hey, honey, I want to go down to the basement and do a workout. Could you tuck in the kids, get them ready for bed, wash them up, get them ready. I'll be up for the bedtime story. Okay? In the morning, it's like, hey, kids, I've made these little egg things. Just warm them up in the microwave. I'm going to go down in the basement and get my workout done. Or I'm going to go do food prep for the week on the weekend. Just all these different things that you can do with your kids. Another one, and this is very common, it might be what your friend went through, is there's some of us that will, I call them tires. We'll do really good when we've got traction. Everything's good. We see traction, we feel good. But it's like we're driving up an icy hill. The instant we stop, the instant we lose traction, we slide all the way back down the hill. So this is the person that goes in and they were doing really well, and then they had a bad Friday night that turned into a bad Saturday, that turned into a bad weekend, that turned into a bad month, that turned into a bad year. So for someone who knows that they need traction, they need consistency and they need a way of seeing it. So I'll often tell someone, okay, pull out a calendar, a paper calendar you can put on the wall, and every day you do your training, or every day you drink your water, or every day you do the thing that you say you're going to do, you put a mark. Now, I had one client, she was really, really, really sharp. She decided to put a heart sticker every day. Because again, we were talking about this being about self-love, who you are and who you want to be. So she put a heart sticker every day she met her goal. And then she could look back at that calendar and see that she had filled up the whole month with heart stickers. She had her traction and she was doing great. Okay, so when you know these mindsets, there's actually 5 of them, and you can go, when you go to we're going to give you a link here at the end, 40plusfitness.com/Camden. And when you go to that link, there'll be a place where you can take a quiz. It takes 60 seconds and it doesn't cost anything. And it will actually tell you what your primary mindset is right now that might be holding you back, because you hear that. If you don't know traction, you keep losing traction. If you don't know you're a co-pilot, you don't realize you're giving too much to everybody else and not enough to yourself. There's a couple of others, but when you find those out, you're able to then make some changes to the way you do things. It's not that you do anything different. You just may do it a slightly different way so that you have what you need. And so you basically turn something that was blocking you into a superpower.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing these great insights about mindset and talking about the power of mindset and how it can dedicate every action that we do. And you mentioned a quiz on your website that can help people with mindset. Thank you for sharing that as well. Let's say there is a person with a positive mindset, and the next step is motivation, and maintaining motivation for the long term can be challenging. I might start today, run for a week, a month, maybe a few months, then I stop. And my question is, what are some effective strategies, both intrinsic and extrinsic, that you recommend for sustaining motivation in the context of health and fitness?
Okay. I think most of us look at motivation the wrong way. We think motivation is just going to show up. Okay, I'm going to start on Monday. We happen to be recording this on Monday at 6 o'clock, but in the U.S. But just so you know, most of us will sit there and say, okay, I'm going to get started on Monday. And they wake up Monday morning, and maybe they do what they say they're going to do. Maybe they don't. The alarm goes off and you hit the snooze. And then you miss your workout, or you do it 3 weeks and then you start missing workouts. It just always, it isn't there. So what we've done is we've waited for motivation to come to us, but that's not how motivation works. Motivation comes from doing. We have to do something first. Okay, now there are 2 basic types of motivation. There's extrinsic motivation, and that's the motivation that comes from other people. So you have the extrinsic motivation, which is predominantly accountability, and then you have the intrinsic, which is internal motivation that comes from you, and that's about self-efficacy. So now let's talk about a couple different ways that you can get extrinsic motivation. You can hire a coach, you can hire a nutritionist, you can hire a doctor and make them a part of your fitness team, but they're also somewhat a leader coach in your life, and you want to be accountable to them to do the things that you need to do to fix yourself. So that's accountability at a leader level. That's extrinsic. Now another one is to join a group. So you can join a fitness group, you can join a nutrition group, a bunch of you can get together every Sunday and do some batch cooking together. It's a group. Those group are your peers, and we always think of peer pressure as a bad thing, but peer pressure works both ways. So having a group around you that cares about their health and fitness, what was it? Jim Rohn said you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. this works that way too. And this is why, because they hold you accountable. They hold you accountable to something bigger than yourself. Okay, so that's accountability at a leader and then a social level. Now, on the other side of this, we have the intrinsic. Now, intrinsic is harder because it's easy to just find a good coach and hire them. Intrinsic's a little harder, but it's more powerful. So at the leader level of intrinsic or internal is self-management. Okay, so if you're going to go to the gym in the morning, you know the night before you need to get to bed at time, you need to have your bag packed, you need to have your food ready, and you need to set the alarm and not hit the snooze button in the morning. That's self-management and self-efficacy to get where you want to be at a leader level. You become the CEO of your own health and fitness. And so you're making that decision that you're going to do these little things that makes the bigger things happen. Okay? So every night I pack my bag. Every night I have my shoes ready. Every night I go to bed early enough that I can get up in the morning to do what I need to do that next morning. And when the alarm goes off, I get up. Okay? That's self-management. And it just comes from being on it. You've been accountable for long enough. Now you got to start pulling that internal because it's harder, but it's more powerful. The next one, and this is the most powerful one, and this is at the social level of intrinsic, and I call this values and goals, values and habits. So when we start taking actions, which means like my alarm's set every morning at 5:30, I'm getting up every morning to get my workout in, it just becomes what you do. You'll hear this from certain people that, okay, they got up and they started going for walks, then they added jogs, and then maybe they signed up for a 5K and then another one, and suddenly they call themselves a runner. I'm a runner. And so this bottom level is this level I'm talking about here, this group level intrinsic is identity. So when you identify as that person, and you'll hear it in other places, like CrossFitters do this all the time. Anyone who just really gets into what they're doing, I'm a swimmer, I'm a runner, I'm a vegan, I'm all the things, all those identities that we put, those labels, that's us. And once you identify, you wouldn't think of not doing it anymore. A runner gets up in the morning for their training, what are they going to go do? They're going to go for a run. Even when they're sick, they want to run. That's how strong that motivation is, that they feel bad when they're not doing the thing because they identify it. So to have the best model of motivation, you really want to be in all four of those quadrants. Okay, so on that page we talked about 40plusfitness.com/Gamden, I'm going to have a picture of that grid there so you can go back over it again when you listen to the show again.
Brilliant. Very, very helpful information and great tips. So you mentioned many things here. So do it or get started first. You don't need to be motivated from the first time, but you need to try at the beginning. You mentioned that we need to look for a coach. Like a fitness coach. We are talking about fitness here. Support either from a coach or from a friend or family, and join a group.
Hire a coach. You can go to the gym, and there's personal trainers there that'll work with you. You schedule time with them. It's on your calendar. It's on their calendar. You can join a fitness group, and it can be anything you enjoy. It can be water aerobics. It can be Zumba. It can be a lifting club. It can be a running club. It can be anything where you have other people who are engaged in this and you feel accountable to them. That's the easiest way to get motivated day one. And then over time, from all that doing, self-management kicks in, and then eventually identity. People that go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm one of those people. When you go to the gym, it's the same people in the gym every week, every day. And so I don't even know their names. I just wave. I've got names in my head. Okay, that's Treadmill Girl. Okay, that's Big Armed Sky. But he's there every day. And so they're, in a sense, they are holding me accountable as a group. I don't even know them. But I know at 5 o'clock in the morning, those four people are always going to be at the gym. And so that's what it's that whole getting out and doing. Find your group, find your coach. That's the easiest way. Over time, the hard stuff, which is much more powerful, is the self-management, and then eventually the habits and values or identity.
Brilliant. Very interesting. And you mentioned as well self-management. And I liked the concept or the idea when you said be something or label yourself as something like a runner or something. You said you need to have values, goals, and commitment. So that helps with motivation. I want to ask you a question. What time is it now?
It is 6:26.
What motivated you to wake up early and you're in the gym? Or
Okay, well, this morning, no, that's why am I on this? Why am I here? Because I made a commitment to Camden that I would be here for this time. So this is his time. And so I feel accountable to you as an individual because I made a commitment to you that I would do this. Now, just as easily, I can make a commitment to myself, and commitment's a very powerful thing. I didn't just say I would do it. I committed to do it. In my mind, the way I wrote it down, I committed to do this. Put it on my calendar and committed to do this. And commitment is probably one of the strongest ways to make change in your life. Because if you don't have commitment, if you just decided, then things like having weak willpower, I have no willpower, I'm just not disciplined. And it's okay. People say this, like it's okay to say you're not disciplined. It's okay to say you lack willpower. You make a resolution and by February you're not doing it anymore. Guess what? Everybody does that, right? So it's normal. But people don't break commitments. You get married, it's a serious thing. It's a commitment. And so what a commitment brings in, it brings in a why. Why? Why is this important to you? Okay, the doctor just diagnosed you with type 2 diabetes, and you don't like that diagnosis. You've watched other people suffer with their kidney problems, with losing feet, with the shots, with the gaining weight, with everything you've seen from that perspective of where their health goes. You don't want that for yourself. So you've made a commitment. You're listening to this podcast. You've made a commitment to change. That's your why. Now, what do you want to happen? Well, in a practical sense, you want your A1C to go down because that's how we're going to measure success, right? So your vision is a lower A1C. What does that look like for you? It could be different from someone else, but you have now a why. Get rid of this to what it looks like when it's gone. You put those together and it's a commitment to change. And what you know today is that you have to change your lifestyle. Change is hard. So tackling the mindset stuff and the motivation stuff and putting it together in a package where it feels natural to you, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, is really how all this works. So to be the healthiest version of yourself, you have to do something different today and then tomorrow. And that consistency over time will pay off and you'll be a healthier person. Your A1C will go down and those symptoms that you have out in the past don't happen because of the things you're doing now.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And this is a great example of commitment. You often talk about being fit to task, which is a very interesting concept. Can you explain this concept and how it relates to daily functionality, specifically for individuals over 40 and those managing health conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other health issues?
Yes, well, when this all really happened for me, because I wasn't always a health coach, I was doing other stuff. I was very unhealthy, I was unfit. Well, I knew I needed something to kind of trigger me. And I got it. I got what I needed. And what it was my daughter was getting into CrossFit. And she was doing all these obstacle course races. And she was really excited about all of it. And so she called me one day and she said, "Daddy, I want you to come watch me do this competition." And that just hit me in the gut. Because when I was her age, I was just as much the athlete as she was. And I was like, I don't want to watch her. I don't want to be a spectator. I want to be a participant. Okay. And that triggered me to change what I was doing. And so the way I look at this, when I came up with the concept fit for task, well, what was my task at that moment? It was this crazy task to get myself in shape so I could do a 12 to 13 mile run in the mud with obstacles, very, very hard, and do it the way that I wouldn't be holding up my daughter. So I was a participant in her life and not a spectator. Now, as you're growing up and getting older, the aspects of what's necessary for living change. It may be, at this point, chasing children around, lifting a child up, running after them, going to the zoo, this and that, dressing them, moving them, picking them up. Babies are heavier because they're flinging arms and all this stuff. Okay, but then what happens next? Well, my wife and I now also operate a bed and breakfast. And they deliver water bottles. The water bottles are the 5-gallon water bottles like what you see in the office. They weigh 44 pounds. And when they deliver them at the front, and I have to carry them to the back, which is about, I would say probably about 30 meters. And sometimes we have as many as 10 of them come in at a time. So it's pick one or two of them up. If they have the handles, I'll do two, and back and forth and back and forth. That's something I need to be able to do. When guests come, I have to be able to carry. We don't have an elevator. We only have 2 stories, but I carry their bags up the flight of stairs while I'm talking to them. So I don't really need to get winded walking up the flight of stairs. I need to be able to carry luggage and water bottles and all those types of things. That's what fitness is for me now. Could I do a Tough Mudder? Not today, but I'm close enough that if my daughter said she wanted to do another one, I'd be ready to do it. Again, fit for task. When I'm older, I talked about my grandfather Glenn. I want to be able to wipe my own butt when I'm 105. Now, a lot of people will giggle with that, but it says a lot. I want to be alive at 105, and I want to be able to take care of myself. Now, I have a wife and 4 kids, and we have, between the 2 of us, we still have 3 parents that are alive. I need to be able to take care of them. What that looks like, I don't know. But I can tell you, if you lose a foot and you're sitting in a wheelchair, you're not going to be very helpful to a lot of people. And you might need to be. I don't know what kids are going to be doing when the next round comes. We didn't have Tough Mudders when I was a kid growing up, but they're going to have stuff. And I don't want to be the grandfather that has to sit on the bench while the kids go off into the zoo because I can't keep up with them. And then they come back and tell me what they saw at the zoo. I don't want to be a spectator. I want to be a participant. If the kids are on the floor playing, I'm not going to be sitting in the rocking chair looking down on them. I'm going to be in it. I'm going to be on the ground with them, coloring, watching whatever they're doing, and being a part of their lives at a different level because I'm capable of getting on the floor, getting back up. I'm capable of being on the floor for a while and getting back up. So I just shared kind of my roadmap as I look at where I want to be in my life. And so it's about fit for task. What do I have to do to be ready for those things? And that's where the whole concept of exercise and workouts and sweating and not liking it go away, because I'm no longer just doing something because I think I should. I'm doing what I need to do to be ready for something. So I am training to be the human that I need to be 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or even 52 years from now, when I turn 110. And so, as you start thinking about your life, what kind of life do you want? Here's a simple thing. Have you ever bought a jar of pickles that you couldn't open when you got home? Guess what you didn't get? You didn't get pickles. Now, if you asked someone else to open that pickle jar, or you had to use a special tool to open it, you're no longer independent. You're dependent on someone else to take care of you. I don't want to be in that state. I want to be able to open my own pickles. I want to be able to wipe my own butt. And I want to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandchildren. Fit for task.
Thank you for sharing these great information and giving us an overview about the concept fit to task. These are just some examples for our daily tasks. So without being fit, we will not be able to perform this kind of tasks. So the concept is very important. So we try our best to be fit. So we don't have to be like what do you call it? Someone who just dedicated many hours a day. We need just a few minutes, like 15, 30 minutes a day, not hours, to make things simple. So let's move to the next part of this episode. I want to talk about getting started. Now we have got some information, and we know the importance of exercise and fitness. We know how it is important for longevity. We know the concept fit to task, but what is the importance of beginning at a manageable pace? So someone who wants to get started slowly without feeling this fitness journey is daunting.
So I had a client, and a couple words, she said when she first started with me was that she hated working out. She hated getting sweaty. She hated all of it. And so, but she said one of the things that bothers her is that when she walked out to her car in the morning to go to work, she got winded just walking from the house to her car in her own driving way. So right by her house. So I said, okay, here's what we do. The first day, your training is to walk to your car. When you get there, do one lap around the car and then get in the car and drive to work. She did that for a few days, and then she said, okay, it was hard. It's harder than even getting there, but then she felt like she was getting better. So I said, okay, tomorrow add 2 laps. So you do to the car and then 2 laps around your car. Within a few weeks, she was going for walks in the neighborhood. And when she first started, she didn't think she would ever be able to do that. Now, I had another client who was struggling for walking, and I said, okay, what do you think you can do each day? Just a dedicated go for a walk. And for her, it was 10 minutes. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, of course, I could go for a walk a lot longer than 10 minutes. That doesn't seem like... Well, for her, it was enough. For her, it was what she could do. She would do that for 10 minutes, and she did that for a little while, for a week. And I said, okay, what do you want to do for this next week? Let's step it up. She went to 12. Again, you might think, oh, well, she probably should have said 15, right? Maybe she should have said 20. Well, it was 12. Okay, next time it was 15. The next time it was 17. And over the course of several weeks, she was up to over 30 minutes of walking every single day. When you compare and contrast to where she started from, she had made huge progress. Now, here's where the payoff was. This woman loved music festivals. Now, if you go to music festivals, what you know is that they park you over there, and you have to walk all the way over here to see the bands. And you do a lot of walking at these things, okay? And she knew before we started that she was not going to be able to do these music festivals and be comfortable. But after doing these little walks with these little gentle nudges, each week doing a little more, she built up her stamina so that she was able to do the walking. And as a result, she went to a lot more music festivals because she felt good going to them. She was able to do the thing. So we talked about fit for task. That's the thing. She wanted to go to music festivals. She's someone who goes to music festivals. She's someone who can walk and do what she needs to do to be at music festivals. But none of those folks went out there and had this super intensive workout that they had to do that hurt them and beat them up every single day. What they did was they started where they were and just added a little bit. They got to their comfort zone, and then they pushed just a little past it, just a little past the comfort zone, and then they pulled back. And then they did it again, and they consistently did it. And after that consistency, they got better and better and better. So you have to start where you are. You have to get outside of your comfort zone a little and push just a little, gentle nudges, and you're going to slowly see results and get better and better. Now, the reason I say comfort zone, anything you do inside your comfort zone does not change you. And nothing great in your life has ever happened because you stayed in your comfort zone. Everything great in your life happened because you got uncomfortable. And so this is a game where each day you need to be a little uncomfortable, just a little. And then that comfort zone is going to grow. And as the comfort zone grows, you just keep getting outside of that comfort zone, just a little. That consistency over time is what's going to get you where you want to go. So the starting is the hard part because it's outside your comfort zone, but you have to do it. But you don't have to kill yourself to get there. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's standard but your own. Literally walking to your car is all you can do. Then do that and just a little more. Now, I had to tell her to do a whole lap around her car because it wouldn't make sense for her to be on the other side of her car. But that's what it was. And at first she thought it was silly until she was walking the neighborhood and she's like, it just started with one lap around the car. And so find your comfort zone, get started, and then just keep pushing a little.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing this story and how just making a simple step will help people progress. So we don't need to take a massive action. Just we need to build it slowly and gradually. So to make it happen, this is the first thing. And you mentioned the second thing is what you meant is we need to challenge our body. You mentioned the comfort zone. So even for body to adjust, we need to challenge it, but we can take it like in a small increment. That's how we progress. As people age, their needs or fitness needs change. How do you approach adapting workouts for people over 40, considering factors like joint health and overall wellness?
Well, it's what we've been talking about this whole time. It's literally fitness for task, and marrying that together with those gentle nudges. If there's something you're not capable of doing, well, start doing something less and start working up toward it. Most of the times what I see with joint problems and things like that is that they're not true injuries. What they are they're just remnants of the way we eat or how we move. And if we can fix some of the ways we move and we can fix some of the things we eat, our inflammation goes down and our joint pain goes down. So when I'm working with someone, I will watch how they move. That's why I have some specialties in corrective exercise and functionally aging, because there are some things we have to look for. Our body's less forgiving. If we don't do the right things, we don't do it the right way, we can break ourselves. So we do have to watch it, but we should be able to do everything. I see people do it. You sit down, you know how to sit down, and then tell me you can't do a squat. You squat every day. You squat every single day. You're doing it when you sit on the toilet. You're doing it when you sit in your work chair. You're doing it when you sit on your couch. You do it when you sit in your car. You do a squat many times every single day. And then they come into the gym and say, well, my knees are bad. I can't do squats. I'm like, you just sat on that bench. What do you think that was? It was a squat. You've only told yourself you can't do a squat because you have bad knees. And you've only told yourself you have bad knees because you felt pain in your knees. But if we move right and we eat right, we don't have the inflammation because we're eating right, and we move right so we're not causing any damage, you can do squats. You just have to do them right. And so don't think you can, because you talked about positive mindset. Well, the word can't If that comes out of your head, that's programming. You've programmed yourself to think that. But you haven't ever even watched what you do in a day's time to say, yeah, I did. I sat down on that bench and I got right back up. I just did a squat. So we can simplify movements and say, okay, what movements do you need to do? So the Fit for Task can play in, but I can tell you, I don't know a single human being on this planet that doesn't need to squat. At least once a day. Okay? So just realize that's life. And so just block out, anytime you hear the word can't in your head, you've got to stop and say, okay, why would I say that I can't? What's that based on? So as you're looking at fitness programs, yes, there's some you probably shouldn't do until you get yourself to a fitness level that you can do it. But I see 80-year-olds do the same workouts as 20-year-olds. Why? Because they got themselves up to a fitness level, or they kept themselves up to a fitness level where they were able to do it. And they didn't have the word can't in their vocabulary around what they can and shouldn't be doing. They did it. So there's no can't, there's no shouldn't, there's just what you should do, and that's within the realms of where you are, just pushing slightly outside your comfort zone. So fit for task for you.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing these great information and insights. You have already given us some tips and strategies. Are there some more tips for someone to overcome fitness challenges?
Well, like I said, I think the key is to start where you are. If you're not feeling motivated or you don't know exactly what to do, a trainer or a coach could be a great investment for you. They're going to keep you from hurting yourself. They're going to give you the guidance and support that you need. And of course, as we talked about, they're going to hold you accountable. So that, to me, is usually the easiest, best way to get started, particularly if you have doubts about what you should be doing. So find yourself a good coach that knows you from the perspective of they're asking you the right questions, and they have the experience training someone like you so that they can give you the best guidance and support, and then just show up and do the work.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing these tips as well. I have got another question before we finish this episode. What inspiring message or advice would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners, specifically those struggling with type 2 diabetes?
Okay. You might feel right now, with going through this chronic illness, that there's something wrong with your body. But let me leave you with this. Your body is one of the most amazing things that's ever existed. And I say that because as long as you're taking breaths, you can improve it. If you do the right things for your body, it will heal. It will get stronger. It will get leaner. It will do everything you need it to do, but it starts with you doing something for it. Take care of your body, and it will take care of you.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your inspiring message. How can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or learn more about you and what you do?
Okay. Well, you can go to 40plusfitness.com. That's 40plusfitness.com/Gamden. And there'll be a little page there. You'll know you're in the right place because you'll see the logo for this podcast. Everything we talked about today, there'll be links to. You'll see the images, the things we've talked about. But there's also links to my training. There's links to my podcast, my book, and the quiz we talked about. So all those links are there in one place for you. That's 40plusfitness.com/Gamden.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your contact information. Before we wrap up this episode, is there anything else you want to say?
I just appreciate being here. You're going through something now with this diabetes. Other people have reversed it. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose or prognose, but other people have fixed it. And they fixed it by eating right, moving right, sleeping right, reducing stress. and believing in themselves.
Brilliant. Thank you, Allan, for that as well. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for our amazing guest, Allan Misner, for generously sharing his expertise, insights, and time with us today. I want also to thank every one of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, for being a part of this episode. If you are seeking additional guidance and support on your health journey, I encourage you to book a discovery call with me at wellnessimpact.org. During this call, we can discuss your needs and explore how I can provide a personalized assistance while addressing any questions you may have. If you found this episode insightful and valuable, I invite you to join our community of people committed to thriving with diabetes. To stay up to date for upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for those who prefer other platforms such as Spotify, you can follow the Thriving with Diabetes podcast. Once again, thank you, Allan, for being our guest today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this impactful journey. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.